Oh, that Amanda.
I have no words for you right now.
Well, I was like, what? Which one of our followers is Amanda? Because I don't think I don't. It never registers to me that people we know in real life actually watch this. Because
She's in the other room.
I know, but it takes a second to realize that like people we know view this. Sorry, Amanda.
Oh boy. I just wanted to clarify one thing. We were not milking each other.
No, but everything else is.
Everything else is accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of what you guys came up with. But this is not a time for milk. We're talking about a tragedy here.
You know, it's not funny, really. It's serious, isn't it?
Yeah. It is serious. I was looking. So obviously there's the video that we did that we put out on Friday, which I don't know what was going on for the last month or so with the algorithm, but YouTube has decided that we're their friends again because I think the last 4 now have all done perfectly fine,
well,
normal. Yeah. But yeah, this is one that it kind of took us a while to get to.
I'm shocked we didn't do it earlier.
Well, we talked about it super early on.
Yeah.
We talked about it on episode like 3 or 4 of the podcast.
Yeah.
And I think after this one's over, we'll probably do the Donner Party to compare and contrast because they're similar circumstances.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took us forever to get to it, and it's kind of been funny because there have been a lot of people, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, comments, do Dyatlov Pass, get to Dyatlov Pass. And then there's a bunch of comments on this one that are like, come on, man, everybody's already done Dyatlov Pass.
Yeah, naturally.
But there's, really quickly, just to kind of maybe make a point about it, I'm going to pull up YouTube over on the other screen for us because I want to make a point here.
What's the point?
Hang on, you'll see. So, Aiden, what do you notice about the videos that are not ours? That are oh wow, it was episode 2 for us. Episode 2 and episode what is that? Episode 35. We talked about it. What do you notice about most of the most viewed videos on the Dyatlov Pass incident?
They're all pretty short.
They're all between 10 and 20 minutes.
Yeah, roughly.
I mean, even it's Scary Interesting, which is a big channel, 21 minutes. Good channel, 21 minutes. This one's the Corvina death incident. This one is pretty small. But yeah, if you look at most of the big videos on Dyatlov Pass, pretty short. Lemino's video, and Lemino's, he's great. He does awesome work. 7 million views, 17 minutes long. And what I find interesting looking at that is you can hit basically all of the main points of this case in under 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You've heard this story before. We've talked about it twice.
Yeah.
Do you think 20 minutes gives you enough time for all the relevant details?
Not even close. Well, editing this last Friday's video, because while we film, I'm focused more on either like whatever I'm doing in front of me, or also like making sure the focus is on the audio recording, things like that. So I'm not like bringing in the content. I'm editing the video, and I'm like, there are so many details here I have never heard before.
Yeah, and that was what I was going through as I was doing the research. Because I'll be honest, when I first started with this one, I was worried. I was thinking there's not going to be a ton of material here.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to figure out a way to flesh this out to get it over 30 minutes. And as I scraped the surface, I realized, there's even if I come to the exact conclusion that the Russian government came to, this was an avalanche. The amount of sheer details involved that I'm getting to the point where I'm like, when we do end up, because the way this is going to work is that there's going to be the part 1 that went up last week on Friday. This next upcoming week is going to be part 2.
Yeah.
We're going to combine those into one longer version, but I think I'm also just stuff that I don't have time to get to before we film this one. There's other stuff in there that I want to look at.
Yeah.
Other angles. Because what we've covered here in these 2 videos, now that I'm almost finished with the second one, is what happened leading up, what happened that night. There are questions about why they were there in the first place. There's weird little things like all of the group's documents say they have 4 cameras. But when they found Zolotaryov's body, there was a fifth camera. All of the film had been basically destroyed by moisture.
Interesting.
So nobody knows what was on the camera.
Yeah.
But that means something very specific. And I'll recount the story really quickly for anybody who hasn't seen it. But they all left that tent in a relative panic. They all left that tent quickly. They weren't panicking, but they did leave it because they had to leave the tent.
Yeah, at least all the evidence points to that.
Yes. Why, when everyone else didn't even have time to put on boots, why did Semyon Zolotarov decide he needed to grab the camera? Or, if not him grabbing the camera on the way out,
yeah,
why was he already holding the camera at night? What happened? And it's those little questions that I think a big part of the problem with this case, as I'm looking through it, is that you've got a lot of major flashpoint details. Well, Zolotaryov and Dubinina were missing their eyes. That's weird.
Yes.
Well, they also were found months later, and there was a possibility of scavenging from animals.
Yeah.
So you look at a lot of the big stuff, and there's usually an explanation for each big thing.
Yeah.
It's in those little details that you start to have questions.
Yeah.
Why did this happen the way it did?
And it's the existence of multiple of those adding on to each other.
Exactly. So when I look at it and I see, okay, they were supposed to hike 300 kilometers, but the very first day they were supposed to start hiking, they caught a ride in a truck.
Yeah.
Hiking 300 kilometers was the point of the expedition.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to remember.
Or at least they recorded.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like, weren't they trying to essentially get that third hike in?
It was a grade 3 certification. So I'll see if I can find the full list of what they were actually doing up there. Shouldn't take me too long. It's all numbered in here. Yeah, so they had 4 primary objectives here. Getting to know the nature and economy of the Northern Urals. Holding lectures and carrying out conversations with the public. 3rd is improving the skills of the hikers. And 4th is study the depth of soil freezing according to surveys and observations of residents in the Northern Urals. So a couple of interesting things that I noticed here that I have not brought up in the video yet, but I will bring up either in part 2 or in the unified edition of the video that we'll put out sometime in the next few months.
Yeah.
When I have a time to go back through all of this, review it, share it with other creators. Like I'm gonna send this over like Wendigoon, Missing Enigma, Swamp Dweller, some of the other people who have looked at this stuff and see what they think about it.
Yeah, just see if we can get a distillation.
And not even get a distillation, but get their opinions on some of the weirdness.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because those are all people who are good at spotting weirdness.
Just out of curiosity, was there anything in the journals about the lectures they gave?
That's what I was about to say.
Okay.
There's nothing in the diaries about giving any lectures.
Because I didn't remember a single point where anything about that
Other
was
thing,
brought up.
There is no time in the hike plan. There is not a single mention of them stopping to give a lecture. There's nothing mentioned about them stopping to take soil measurements.
Do you think that might have been one of those instances that you referred to of them just trying to work the Soviet system to be able to get approval for the whole scenario?
It's possible. It's also possible that whatever they were doing was not supposed to be on the books.
Fair.
Now, why would they pick a bunch of random students from Ural Polytechnic? Couldn't tell you. I will say it is weird that Semyon Zolotarov, who was the only one of them with military experience, was transferred onto the expedition at the very last minute.
Yeah.
Now, they have a reason for that given, which is that he was scheduled to go on another one, and then he wanted it to be shorter because he had some sort of thing he had to get to.
And there's no details on that.
Not that I could find.
Yeah.
Basically, that's the Cliff Notes, and I want to. That's the stuff that's going to be in the third, the unified edition.
Yeah.
That is not going to be in either of the first two because I felt like, you know what? Yeah, I think it will be nice for people to be able to have this all in one spot, but also let's give them something new.
Yeah. Oh,
when we do the unified edition, so we'll have interspersed maybe, or at the end, a new section. But yeah, with some of those questions like why did Zolotaryov have a 5th camera? Why is it not mentioned anywhere? Why are there 4 diaries but only 3 of them have authors named?
Yeah.
You know, little things like that, because there's the mistakenly named Kolmogorova diary, which does not belong to Zina Kolmogorova.
Who did it belong to?
That's the question, because it's not her handwriting.
Interesting.
Her handwriting is in the other diary, the group diary, with her name signed next to it.
Yeah.
That diary was found near Dyatlov, but the handwriting doesn't necessarily match the handwriting from when Dyatlov was writing in the group diary.
Yeah.
There was only a couple of people who didn't write in the group diary. I think that's Zolotaryov and I want to say one of the Shenkos.
Another interesting question. Did you infer any of the apparent friction between Dyatlov and a couple of the other members?
That's what I want to look at in the third one as well. It's just because there's little things here and there. The interpersonal dynamics, I was hoping the diaries would be more revealing, but they're not.
Okay.
They are, for the most part, pretty professional. Like, here's what happened today. It's not so much of it really is better to refer to them as logs than it is diary or journal, because a diary or journal usually has some of your thoughts in it.
Yeah.
These have thoughts, but they're very surface level. So I'm curious. I was hoping there would be more. But, you know, there's part of the issue is there's just so much information.
Yeah.
And I think when a lot of people set out to cover this, they're like, okay, well, there's so many details here. They can't possibly all be relevant. Let me distill down the relevant points and talk about those. The problem is that's when you tend to miss the little stuff. The important hints and clues. And I do think to an extent that's why our channel does as well as it does, is because we do pick up on those little things and we do mention them over time.
But with this much information, it's hard to do that on this time frame.
It is. This is not a 1 week kind of thing. This is really, if I were to do this right, I would probably take 3 months.
Yeah. With
all of the documents, and it would be just reading each document, taking notes on what it says, cross-referencing. You know, it would take months to do this with the degree of thoroughness that I would want to do it.
Yeah, and that's if you had that amount of focus in a week.
Exactly.
On that basis.
Which I don't.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, but so it's weird that they have stuff like, oh, well, they're going to be giving lectures, and well, you can look at the lecture one and say, oh, well, they were probably going to be holding the lectures after. They were going to go and give lectures to other students about what it's like out in the Urals.
Yeah.
Okay. That explains one thing.
Yeah.
Improving the skills of the hikers, that's pretty obviously explained as well.
Yeah.
The issue that I have is more with, one, getting to know the nature and economy of the Northern Urals, because not a ton of notes in the documentation about the economy and nature of the Northern Urals.
Or even like much interaction with anybody else, right?
In fact, the few times they even mention the people living there, it's like, we followed a Mansi trail. No interactions with the Mansi villagers.
Yeah.
Not really any discussion within the documents of what's going on around. And so far as I've seen, it could be that I just haven't managed to make my way through all of the files yet, or that some of the files weren't made available. But from what I can tell, also no studying the depth of soil freezing went on. And that's the kind of thing that, like, you would expect there would be a methodology somewhere, a plan, a motivation.
The only other thing that I'm thinking of, and I want to get your opinion on this based off of considering you've done more research in this than I have, so you know the context of these people a little bit better. Is it possible that, considering they were pretty young, most of them at least, that they were a little ambitious with all they thought they were going to be able to accomplish, especially considering they thought they were going to get to certain waypoints a lot sooner than they did?
So, yeah, that's part of the issue. They survived the entire day of February 1st. February 1st is also the only day that there are no diary entries available online for.
Really?
So there's two possibilities. One of them is that they did not write in the diary on February 1st, that they did not have time to.
Yeah.
The other is that the diary page from February 1st was never released to the public. Why?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, there's a couple possibilities. Let me really quickly run through the storyline for anybody that hasn't watched it yet, that doesn't understand what happened.
Yeah.
Day to day here.
If you want to know the in-depth, look at the video we put up on
obviously
Friday.
Watch the video for the in-depth. And I think that video, basically, the first half hour of it is not even about the incident itself. It's about the lead up to it.
Yeah. It gives you context of who all the people are that were on it. That also helps give you context of like what happened in some of the interpersonal aspects of it, how that played out a little bit more with the familiarity of those people. But yeah.
So this whole thing, again, motivation, why they were doing this.
Yeah.
Not super clear. Could just be that this was a sporting event for them. Yeah.
Well, they wanted to. The one thing was that they wanted to get that.
Definitely getting their grade 3 certifications. Yeah. Now, again, culturally, there seem to be things I just don't understand going on here.
Like what?
With just the way that the Soviet system worked with recreation, obviously.
Oh, it was a lot more structured.
It was a lot more structured than what you have now, because, you and I, we can call in to, well, I can't call in to work. My boss never lets me have time off. You could call in to work, and your boss also wouldn't let you have time off.
Yeah,
but in this day and age in the United States, you can call into work and you can say, "Hey, boss, I'm sick."
Yeah.
And there is nobody, for the most part, in most cases, unless you work for like Amazon, who's gonna check up and make sure.
Yeah.
You could easily say, "Hey, boss, I'm sick," and then spend the entire day out in the woods.
Yep.
Doing whatever you want.
Yep. We don't recommend doing that if you want to keep your job.
Under a different system where the entire economy is planned and tightly managed, you can't just do that. Yeah. Because if you do it too much, somebody's gonna come check on you. So everything in the Soviet world, more rigidly segmented. A lot there's ridiculous stories that you hear about people ordering a car and getting it 10 years later. Gorbachev coming to the United States and being taken to a supermarket and thinking that it was all put on display for him, and Reagan being like, "You want to go to the one across the street?" It's the same. You think about some of these differences between the Soviet Union and the Western world, and I'm not going to pretend to totally understand the circumstances in the Soviet Union, but it's very clear that there was something more going on here. Also, that's a $20 one, so if you want to...
Tactical Bacon for $20 says, "Hey, Milkmasters, off-topic question, but how well do you guys know military history? My great-grandfather was deployed to Japan after the bombs and stole one of their flags before coming home. Would you all want to see that?"
I would love to see the flag.
Yeah, why not?
Just because piece of history right there. With military history, it really depends. Military history, if we're talking the medieval period, very solid.
Yeah.
Still pretty solid on classical. Pike and shot to an extent. 1700s onward, I'm a little...
That's where I pick up. I'm by no means a specialist, but that's my area of interest. I'm a casual fan of 1700 plus military history, but that's my area.
Yeah, so certain stuff, yes, I know a lot. Most things from the ancient and post-medieval world I'm pretty iffy on.
Fair.
Yeah, but story here is that for whatever reason, however you want to look at it, Dyatlov pulls together a group of 10 people. They're going to go on this expedition. One of the people on that list is a guy named Blanco. Blanco did not go.
Yeah.
Something came up last minute and he wasn't able to go, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
That's not the guy who left, right
No, that's Yuri Yudin.
Yeah.
So, initially you were supposed to have 10 people, including this Blanco guy.
Yeah.
Blanco never ends up going. I haven't looked into precisely why yet. And part of the reason I didn't look into it for the first video is I did not realize how deep the rabbit hole went. It was,
fair.
But, so, Blanco, for some reason, last minute doesn't go. Zolotaryov ends up added to the expedition because a spot opened up all of a sudden. The 10 of them take a train to basically to the starting point, trains and trucks.
Yep.
They get to Vizay, that's their starting spot. And then they end up taking a truck to the next spot, which is It was either they were supposed to hike from Ivdel to Vizay, or that they were supposed to hike from Vizay to District 41. In either case, I think it was that they were supposed to hike to District 41. They get a truck ride to District 41. That is a logging camp, as far as I can tell. District 41, they stay overnight. They hear some illegal songs. They hear some anti-communist music.
Interesting.
Yes, out in the sticks, in the boonies. And then they get a horse. Not sure. This is another one of those things where you're like, there's some weird coincidences here. Things are lining up in a way they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because they get a horse to go with them from District 41 to 2nd Northern, which 2nd Northern was an old work camp. Not the fun kind of work camp where you're like logging with the boys.
Yeah, the kind of,
Yeah. The kind of, you'll have spoken against the Soviet Union. Yeah. That kind.
The gulag.
Yeah, they were headed to the gooch. You have not played enough Modern Warfare lately. You're missing on the lingo.
Yeah, apparently not.
Yeah, no. It's the gooch now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Anyway.
Not for them, but...
Probably not for them, no.
Yeah.
The weird thing about 2nd Northern is that they make a deal to take a horse. And it did not occur to me how weird this was until just now, actually. They made a deal to take a horse with them to 2nd Northern. Here's the problem with 2nd Northern. Nobody there. It's abandoned. So, I'm almost like, I'm like, I must be getting this wrong in my head right now. I'm trying to...
Well, yeah, where did they leave the horse? Because
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. Because it didn't stay with them.
No, it did not. Here we go. Yeah, so... Yeah, they took the horse to 2nd Northern from District 41. The problem with that is that, as far as anyone was planning, when they left District 41, that entire group was headed from 2nd Northern into the mountains. Who was supposed to take the horse back?
Well,
It says they made a deal. Either somebody else was going to go get the horse, which seems like a weird deal,
or it wasn't abandoned.
Someone from the group was always going back to District 41.
Yeah. Or there were people that were at this abandoned outpost.
There weren't. There was only one livable house there. Again. Or you're saying off the books.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe. If there were, it's not recorded.
Yeah.
So they take a horse to District 41. Takes them a while to get there. But they still get there the night they need to. And then the next day, they head into the mountains. They're heading up the river. Everything's going along pretty much the way it's supposed to. They run into some bad weather that makes it so they have to move really slowly. Ends up knocking them back, basically behind by like half a day, then almost a full day. And then on, I want to say the 31st, they were supposed to build a storage cache on the mountain. They could not find anywhere at the elevation they intended to build it where they could actually make it happen.
Did they say what the purpose was of building that storage cache?
Because they were going to the mountain and coming back.
Got it, okay.
So basically it was to leave behind the stuff that I think at that point, if I remember correctly, it's only 10 kilometers.
Okay.
To Mount O'Torton.
Got it.
And then, of course, vertical. Yeah. But linear, we're talking 10 kilometers.
So from 2nd Northern, they get to this point where they want to build a cache. How far in was that again?
That was another like 50 or so kilometers.
Okay, so they're 50 in.
So they're way into the trek at this point.
Yeah.
They're pretty far into the trek.
Yeah, and they're making a cache just to be able to essentially lighten their load.
So that they can go up to O'Torton and grab their stuff on their way out.
Yeah.
Now on the way out, they're going to be going around the other side of the mountain range.
Yeah.
There was maybe I'm still figuring out the maps. They're kind of weird. It doesn't matter what they were gonna be doing for the most part. I'm gonna look into what they were gonna be doing for the third video, but for now we're still looking at like concrete information.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Yeah. So 10 kilometers. So they're supposed to build a storage shed. They were unable to do that. They had to go further back down the mountain because they needed to, at that point, make camp, and there was nowhere to make camp up there.
I'm sure that was frustrating.
Probably very frustrating.
Yeah.
On the first, they managed to make their way up the mountain. They were supposed to, on the first, the plan was to get over the mountain into the valley below, set up camp there before the next day making the trek to the mountain.
Got it.
Instead, they spend the day they're supposed to be crossing over, looking for a place to build that storage shed. They eventually build a pretty crummy one.
Yeah.
Because it's the best they can do. Problem is, they did that around 3 p.m. on February 1st. It was going to get dark by 6. They only made it a kilometer up the mountain to where it goes over.
Yeah.
To the pass. So they were too high on the mountain. They were beyond tree cover. And they were pretty much exhausted. Something is banging.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah. The night of February 1st, we know very little. What we do know is that they were all exhausted. This tent was not an ideal location. It was very cold.
Yeah, what was it was like negative 17 something?
It was worse than that at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was getting down What has? Weird. Yeah, maybe they're doing something strange upstairs.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, the weird thing.
Yep.
Well, a number of weird things begin at this point. But February 1st, they're a day behind. They are not where they're supposed to be.
Yep.
Their storage is down the mountain. Based on what they were wearing when they were found, at the very least, Nikolai Thibault Bernol, he was probably the one who was on watch, who was on duty, outside the tent. Basically standing around looking for things like avalanche or fire. People approaching.
Yeah. Any
sort of thing like that. Semyon Zolotaryov, also fully dressed. Not sure why. It could be that he heard the sounds of an avalanche. This was one of the suggested explanations, was that he heard the sounds of an avalanche coming and told everybody else, get ready, and he was ready before everybody.
Yeah.
Or that for some reason or another that maybe he knew that an avalanche was possible and decided he'd rather stay dressed. He was just cold. Any number of possibilities, but he's the second best dressed of the group.
Yeah.
And as we now know, when he left the tent, he brought a camera on him.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, first mystery. Why were those two fully dressed? And then there's why they left the tent. This is where the avalanche is. A lot of people look at it and they see... Again, this is the people who are on the wrong side, who are in the wrong about it from the skeptic side.
Yeah.
They look at it and they, the superstitious side goes, oh, well, Zolotaryov, Dubinina, and Thibault all had injuries that could not have been caused by another person.
Yeah.
The people who have seen it was an avalanche go, oh, well, it was the avalanche that caused those injuries.
Yeah.
We're talking severely broken ribs here.
Yeah.
Chests being crushed.
I mean, to be fair, avalanches are very capable of that.
Yes, but you know what avalanches aren't capable of doing?
What's that?
That, and then having the people whose chests they crushed move an entire 1.5 kilometers further down the mountain of their own free will.
Yeah, of their own free will, probably not.
No, that was the problem, is that Zolotaryov and Thibault and Dubinina all had injuries that would have prevented them from walking under their own power.
Yeah.
We also know that all three of them, and Kolevatov, made it to that cedar tree.
Yeah.
Because that's what everybody does when they leave the tent. They walk 1.5 miles downhill to the tree line to a cedar tree where they break off some branches and start a fire. That fire burned for about 1.5 hours based on how burned through the sticks were.
Yeah.
So that means they got there of their own power. And then, where their bodies were found, they had constructed a den, which means that not only was it not the initial avalanche that hurt them, it also wasn't falling out of a tree, like some people have suggested. So whatever caused those crushed chests and severe head injury, whatever did that to them, did it to them a long time after that avalanche would have happened.
Yeah.
So no, the injuries can't be explained by the avalanche, and a lot of people who have just heard avalanche and injuries assume that the two are connected. They're not.
Yeah.
Whatever hurt them, it was not the avalanche. Also, two of those people are likely the two who were best, are Semyon Zolotaryov and Nikolai Thibault. They're the best dressed, and two of the longest surviving.
Well, given this...
So the avalanche is not what hurt them.
Yeah, well, also given the circumstances, the two best dressed being the longest to survive makes
complete sense.
Yeah.
But so they all get down to the cedar, and this is where another one of the issues with the case, another one of the mysteries shows up. The various states of undress.
Mm-hmm.
They all left the tent at the same time. Why are some of them dressed and some aren't?
Yeah.
What was going on in the tent at that point? And it's not like it was a man and a woman who were only slightly dressed. It was two of the guys.
Yeah.
So you've heard stuff like, they were fighting and stole clothes from one another, or it was paradoxical undressing. As they were dying of hypothermia, felt super hot, so they took off their clothes.
Figured that was probably the most likely.
It's not either of them.
Interesting.
There were very clear signs that what happened is that those two, Krivonashenko and Doroshenko, died not as a result of being beaten to death by their friends, but instead they sustained a large number of injuries consistent with falling out of a tree. Like a lot of long, narrow bruises all along their body, like branches.
Yeah.
So they almost certainly, at least Krivonashenko definitely fell out of that tree. Doroshenko also probably fell out of the tree, and they were about 5 meters up.
Yep. We'll
get to why the tree thing is weird too, because the tree does not have a single neat explanation. They climbed 5 meters up this tree, somebody did at least, and fell out of it, it appears. Afterwards, that is still not what killed them, because they do not have any mortal injuries at all. They died of hypothermia. The two who were strong enough to climb a tree 5 meters into that tree and survive falling out of it without any serious injuries are the first two to succumb to hypothermia. And here's the thing. When everyone left, they were not any worse dressed than the majority of the group, including 3 of the people who survived to get halfway back to the tent.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is, like, to what degree were they dressed when they were up in the tree versus when they were found?
I'm glad you asked. If I can just scroll to it really quick. Investigation.
Because the tree with the broken branches on the bottom of it could, if we're thinking an avalanche happened, it is plausible that an avalanche came through, took off the branches of the bottom, depending on the strength of it, because a really strong
wouldn't be able to climb if there are no branches on the bottom.
Correct, but you could climb before, if you were trying to escape the avalanche by climbing up the tree.
Wrong kind of avalanche. Slab avalanche. Minor, self-contained, small area.
Oh, so the avalanche isn't a large avalanche.
No, it's a
just
slab
little
avalanche.
slab, literally just falling on the tent.
Literally.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, they're also not totally sure where the tent was.
Which doesn't make sense.
2 proposed locations.
Found the tent, didn't they?
In 1959, they did not record the exact coordinates.
They did get the picture.
They took pictures, and that's how the 2 camps have established where the tent was.
Yeah.
They know it's a ridge, a specific ridge. Problem is, the official report says it's on the north side of the north end of the ridge.
Got it.
So basically, it's like a ridge that goes northeast.
Yeah.
So on the northeast side of the ridge, that's where one location for the tent, the official location for the tent is.
Got it.
On the southeast side of the ridge is where independent researchers have pegged the tent.
Got it.
Based on the same photographs.
Got it. So is there any indication that it was anything else, like in terms of avalanches, other than the slab on the tent? Is there the possibility or plausibility that it was there was another larger avalanche?
No, and in fact, I have found no evidence that there has ever been an avalanche recorded at that location.
Really?
Mm-hmm. This was just one of 75 theories they came up with.
75.
And that was just the ones that were like a natural explanation of some kind, down to like Wolverine attack.
Interesting.
Yeah. The official investigation, by the way, I discovered, did not consider any non-natural causes. That includes foul play, supernatural stuff, and military tests.
At the very least, why wouldn't they include foul play? I guess just to make it easier to say no non-natural. But I guess that's weird. I mean, it is the Soviet
now
Union, but...
it could be that they looked for all of the natural explanations first, and then they were going to look into the less normal stuff like we do.
Yeah.
But the explanation they came up with is basically it goes like this. Also, I remember I was supposed to be looking at something and I can't remember what it was.
Whether or not the people who climbed the tree were dressed differently when they first left the tent versus when they were found.
Right. So let me see. It appears that every member of the group left the tent with underwear, undershirt, pair of socks, long underwear or sweatpants, an overshirt, and a sweater or a light jacket. That is everybody. Everybody was wearing at least that.
Yeah.
It's hard to say exactly what Slobodin, Kolmogorova, and Dyatlov were wearing when they left the tent.
Yeah.
And the same goes for Kolevatov and Dubinina, because Dubinina was wearing one of Krivonashenko's sweaters.
Got it.
So nobody's sure, especially knowing that they probably did just grab random stuff as they were making their way out. But what it looks like to me is that more likely than everybody grabbing whatever they could to put on, the uniformity of what the majority was wearing, just those, the fact that there's basically 9 light jackets and 9 pairs of long underwear and not on everybody between them implies that for the most part what they were wearing is whatever they had on.
Yeah.
Which means they left that tent quickly.
Yeah.
Which means they weren't grabbing random articles of clothing and throwing them on.
Yeah.
So in that case, why was Zolotaryov holding a camera?
Yeah.
Little questions like that again, this is why I decided to do this the way I did, is just there were little bits and pieces that you need to address one at a time and to document as you go, because you've got to show how they connect to everything else.
Yeah.
So that's what they were wearing. Why did Krivonashenko and Doroshenko, all of these people were in phenomenal shape.
Yeah.
Why did those two specifically die first is a question that has not been adequately answered. The official explanation is that they were the two who were searching for firewood, and so they exhausted themselves first.
Got it.
And that's why they died first. It seems unlikely to me that they were the only two looking for firewood.
Yeah, that'd be a little weird.
Their injuries do suggest they were the only two to fall out of the tree.
Yeah.
The official report does not list them falling out of the tree as having anything to do with their deaths.
Interesting.
I don't know what to think here.
Yeah.
One thought I've had is that they reached the tree at different times. It's hard to say for certain what happened.
Yeah.
But nobody can say for sure why those two died first.
Yeah.
But you can see that, yes, they were all wearing a certain amount of clothing, and that leads me to wonder, did they at any point grab stuff out of the tent, or did they just leave the tent with what they had on?
My question is, if it was a slab avalanche, which is essentially just a section of snow fell on the tent.
Yep.
Why does it appear, through what I've heard from your research, that they didn't attempt to dig out the tent?
Well, that is a good question. And the other weird thing is the tent was covered in snow, but it wasn't covered in snow.
Yeah.
And there's also the other problem. If it were an avalanche, and they all thought the tent was buried by snow, why did 3 of them try to go back? Because that's the next thing that happens.
Yeah.
After the cedar incident, Dyatlov, Slobodin, and Kolmogorova, they all attempt to go back to the tent. Dubinina, Zolotaryov, Kolevatov, and Thibault go and dig a shelter.
I mean, given the context that I've seen from what you've said so far about this story, it makes sense that group that went back was the group that went back. considering Dyatlov's the leader, there was a potential, relationship between him and the guy.
Kolmogorova.
Yeah. And then it makes sense that the others didn't, because they were probably like, you fearless leader. Like, what was it? Witless writing in 2 days by Tebow or the PS, whatever. So, like, those who were annoyed with him were probably like, we're not following you anymore.
Yeah.
We're doing our own thing.
If anyone was annoyed with him, and here's the issue.
Yeah.
February 1st, there's no diary entry.
Yeah.
And here's one of those nuggets. There is no diary entry for February 1st. You want to know what there is?
What?
Yeah. I have the website over here. Also, was this website not like the best?
Oh, it was great. Hey, you pull that up.
It's called, for those watching and listening, it's called DyatlovPass.com. You can go over there and see all of the documents we've been working with. However, we have not been just going with everything they say. We've been looking at the specific actual text of the documents, not using their analysis of the documents. And I have completely forgotten what I was supposed to be looking for. Guys in the chat, could you remind me? Unless Aiden, do you remember what I was supposed to be looking for? Right, the February 1st thing.
Yes, correct.
February 1st, we're going to do case files.
Also, do we want to see what Cam Boone said for 1999?
Yes, you want to grab it?
Yeah, Cam Boone for 1999 said, start my master's internship tomorrow. I created a farm for IU this summer and listened to it all. Thanks for all the content. Moving on to clinical therapy at a local school system. So many boys with no father. Massive sad. Hey,
I'm psyched for what you're doing. Like, that's an awesome.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely fantastic.
Awesome work.
What created a farm for IU? Is that the school?
I'm guessing that is. Yeah. Indiana University, maybe.
That's my guess. Yeah. Yeah. Glad you're enjoying the content. Awesome career choice, man.
Yep.
Well done.
I just really quickly want to. I'm not sure. Oh, cool. It actually is picking up our voices for once. Awesome. So if you look at what's on your screen right now, this is obviously all translated from this guy right here, the Russian version, but they, basically in Photoshop made a English version.
Yeah.
Transcript of Dyatlov Group Combat Leaflet, Evening Otorten, February 1st, 1959. Syndicated trade union publication of Kabina Group. Editorial, greeting the 21st convention with increased birth rate among hikers. Science. In recent years, there has been a heated debate about the existence of Yeti. According to recent reports, Yeti lives in northern Ural near Mount Otorten. By the way, this is where most of the Yeti conspiracies about this come from, is this obvious satire piece.
Yeah.
Philosophical seminar on the topic of love and hiking takes place daily on the tent premises, Central Hall. Lectures are given by Dr. Tebow and postdoctorate of love science, Dubinina. There is documentation, diary entries saying that one of the things they talked about most was love and relationships.
Yeah. As with any group of early 20-somethings on a camping trip, it's eventually going to devolve to that.
Yep. Technical news, hiking drag sled. This is a review of hiking drag sleds.
Nice.
Good while riding on the train, by car, and on horseback. Not recommended for freight transportation on snow. For further information, contact Chief Constructor Comrade Kolevatov. You'll notice that everybody has been involved in this.
Yep.
Sport. A team of radio technicians, including comrades Doroshenko and Kolmogorova, set a new world record for portable stove assembly. 1 hour, 2 minutes, 27.4 seconds. Armenian quiz. Can 9 tourists get by with 1 stove and a blanket? So you'll notice we've got Doroshenko mentioned, Kolmogorova mentioned, Tebow, Dubinina, Kolevatov, and the rest are not mentioned by name on here. But this doesn't seem like the kind of thing that they were doing while in an intense argument with one another.
Probably not.
And we can't assume that they were so immature that they would have just left off everybody that wasn't, having fun with it.
Yeah.
Especially because we have so many diary entries that are everyone's in good spirits. Everyone's getting along. It's great. Yeah. This is all going well.
And they also did a pretty good job of professionally keeping track for the most part of what was happening, what was going on.
Exactly. It's everything is put together very, very well for it to be what they're suggesting.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that, we understand that there's very little evidence that this could have been a conflict within the group. So I think that whatever the witless comment was from Tebow about Dyatlov
might have been
probably just a joke.
Yeah.
Between the group. These guys are all the same age. They're classmates. They all chose to go on this trip together.
Yeah. Which was an important factor in understanding that.
Yeah. And we'll go into some of the interpersonal relationships as they show up, again, in that third version of the video. when it comes out a little bit from now, and I have some more time to research.
Yeah.
But it's just weird. So if it was an avalanche, why did they think that it was possible to get back? And that's kind of what the second video is focusing on, is breaking all of this down. There's some stuff that I've said here tonight already that isn't in part 1 because it's in part 2.
Yeah.
What?
Dark Wizard said it's the Tartarians.
Oh god, yeah, probably. It's the right. For once, it's actually the right spot in the world.
Oh really?
This is actually the correct location.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Maybe the Monsi were the Tartarians. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's the theory.
There we go. If it was an avalanche that was, you know, a big enough avalanche for them to leave entirely and not just like get out of the direct path and dig out the tent.
Yeah.
Why did they think they could go back? There's a few other questions that I'm addressing in part 2. I'm trying to think of them right now, but also, one thing that I found interesting was the fact that they ran down north. The storage cache was down the mountain to the south.
Yeah.
If you're stumbling out of a tent late at night, bad visibility, you're freezing cold, something has caused you to get out of the tent in a rush. How likely is it that as you stumble out, you just go the wrong direction because you're just going downhill?
Extremely likely.
Extremely likely.
Like, probable.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if they were shooting for the storage cache. And if they went back to the tent thinking, we have no other option.
Yeah.
I think that part of the reason that they might have been so willing to leave the tent on such short notice is that they might have been thinking, we only have to make it a mile downhill, or a kilometer downhill to the storage cache.
Yeah.
And then we've got food, spare clothes, sleeping bags, you know, not going to be a comfortable night, but they had the materials to survive.
Yeah, be better than the other option.
Exactly. Instead, they end up, and again, this is just conjecture, instead, what if they end up going north and downhill, finding themselves at the tree line, realizing once they hit the tree line, oh, we went the wrong way.
Yeah.
Climbed up the tree looking for either the storage cache or the tent. They fall out of the tree. Those two die. The rest of the group realizes how severe the situation is.
Yeah.
And then one of two things has to have happened. Either Dyatlov, Slobodin, and Kolmogorova all volunteered to go up to the tent and get the supplies while the other 4 constructed a shelter. Now, there are more questions involved here.
Yeah.
The 2 best dressed should probably have been the ones going with Dyatlov.
You'd think.
Up to the tent.
Yeah.
I totally get Dyatlov being the one to go up to the tent. That was the most dangerous mission. He was the group leader.
Yeah.
Zolotaryov, who's a veteran, who is very well dressed, well equipped for all of this, he doesn't go. Neither does Thibaut, who's also well dressed.
The only thing I'm thinking is maybe the people who went
Mm-hmm.
were thinking, if we're going to the tent, we can get our clothes that are there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
maybe they had a better chance of surviving if they didn't go to the tent, though.
True.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, so it's I'm trying as I go through to like figure out what is the most likely reason they left the tent, what is the most likely reason they would have gone back, because again, avalanche does seem like the most likely reason they would have left the tent.
Yeah.
No evidence of an avalanche. No avalanche is ever reported there. No avalanche-related injuries. And they went back to the tent.
Did you want to touch on the radioactivity at all?
Not yet.
Okay.
Talk about it next week.
Okay.
Because I want to get all of the details right with that, but it does have to do with, I think it might have to do with the Kishtim disaster, and Kolevatov worked for,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Krivanashenko worked at Chelyabinsk 40.
Yep.
And Kolevatov was either working for or was going to be working for, either had been working for or was going to be working for the Russian nuclear program.
Mm-hmm.
Would make sense that they both had plutonium on them. Which does appear to be what it was. there's some interesting stuff from the autopsy as well. But yeah, that's one of those things that I'm going to get into.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be able to get to it in this one. This one is looking more like it's going to basically be analysis of their injuries and the avalanche stuff. And then a broad, like, you know, general, like, debunking of some theories. And then in that third one, it'll be like, what can we really say here?
Yeah.
What can we dig into?
Yeah,
Sink our teeth into. But it is 7:56 p.m. and you know what that means.
Oh, I think I do. Kellen, the official data for 199 at the beginning of the show, said there's always time for milk, and you know what, sir?
You know what, you're right. Milk truck have arrived.
It do be here.
Yeah.
He followed up for 556. When it comes to the CCP, Russia and the former USSR government, any claims they make without being able to see it, it probably didn't happen.
Yeah.
Valid.
We had the tactical bacon one.
Yep, Ryan Whitcup for $5.73. Just switched jobs so I can start focusing on getting ready to join the USAF for broadcasting.
Woo.
Very excited.
Well,
for this
congratulations.
yeah, congrats. Well done. William Grosslin for
Thank you for your
$5.
What?
I'm gonna, yep. This has probably come up between you two, but this is the Soviet Union we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
They were probably hiding something up there. Yeah. Well, it's so remote. I mean, like, yes and no.
There's a lot of weird here. For
Yeah.
me, my level of weird. And here's my conspiracy with it. It isn't even that the entire group was looking for something weird. It was that Zolotaryov was looking for something weird.
Mm.
And the rest of them
Just collateral.
just collateral.
Interesting. What do you think it was kind of like? Well,
I don't know for sure yet. I don't want to say anything until I don't want to conjecture too much on this one.
Fair enough. All right, we'll wait for the next part. Nate the Great for $10 says, I got kicked out of Target because I kept hitting on the women in the maternity section. Not gonna lie,
I just wouldn't do that.
it sounds like you didn't think that one through.
Yeah, like everything about that was a bad plan.
Yeah, that sounded like you were hoping to get kicked out of Target.
Yeah, you hit on women at Goodwill and you wait for them to drop off like a very new wedding dress or something. You go on Facebook and you look up, like new wedding dresses.
Yeah.
Marketplace. Yeah, exactly. Everybody knows this. Come on.
Yeah.
I have some friends in town who insisted on teaching me all of the ways of attracting the MILFs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How many ways are there?
Apparently quite a few.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think the easiest
I haven't
one.
used them.
I think the easiest one is just to go to Molly McGuire's on a Friday night.
Yeah, basically.
Because half of this town hates their husbands for some reason. I don't understand.
Have we both been hit on by married women in this town?
Several times.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's shocking.
Are you a man who lives in Phoenixville, PA? Your wife may have hit on us. Call this number.
And it's like, it's never like even like a nice thing because you just feel sad.
Yeah,
for the
you
whole
just feel
situation.
bad about it. Yeah.
It's like, oh God, what a shame. Anyway.
Getting hit on by a 35-year-old married mom at emo night was definitely a moment for me.
Yeah.
It was not last night, by the way. That was a different emo night.
Fair. It was just a moment of realization.
Yeah, where I was like, oh boy.
Yeah. I hope this doesn't happen to me.
I dated one mom. That was enough moms. You were there for that.
I was. That was the time. We'll all learn lessons.
Why couldn't he read, Aiden? He was too old. He was too old to not be able to read.
Not enough supervision, I guess?
Yeah, yes. It was COVID times.
Kumon. It's a great learning supplement.
Just become a Kumon ad.
I don't know. Your kid's old and he can't read. Kumon.
Kid's old and he can't read. Kumon.
I don't know.
I want a skit of you doing an ad for Kumon in that demeanor.
Yeah.
Kids old can't read. Kumon.
Come on, it works so well.
Kumon.
Come on, man. Learn him up something. Get him to read. He'll be fine. 2 + 2. He's got it.
All right. I like the idea of you being like the hired spokesperson, like just going through the Kumon Center while all of the actual tutors are trying to teach a kid math and it's going horribly. They're all not making enough money.
Yeah.
And you're just like saying dumb stuff like that.
Everyone's pissed in the background. He's like, look at them go. Look at these guys. They're just...
It's like, Kumon, where your little idiots will be passing class in no time at all.
The more you pay, the less it matters.
That doesn't mean anything.
No, but it does.
But I'm writing it down. I want that as an inspirational poster.
The more you pay, the less it matters. Taxes. Miss Maury for $5 says, Avalanche all escaped. A few tried to head back, didn't make it. 3 who survived made a den, but the den collapsed on them, causing the crush? Question mark?
Den did not collapse on them. They died outside of the den.
Interesting.
New question, what caused them to leave the den?
Yeah, another good question. We got to Cam Boone's one before. Kelly, the official data for $4.99 says, in Soviet Russia, humor is like food. Not everyone gets it. Valid.
Yeah.
I thought, well, in Soviet Russia, I feel like food is more like humor. Not everyone gets it.
Oh, no.
Is it wrong? Is that inaccurate? Agamemnon's gym bag for $5 says, Soviets were experimenting with nuclear-powered super horses. The group ate the horse. Nailed it.
In Soviet Russia, sense of humor have you?
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't work as well.
In Soviet Russia, horse riding.
Nuclear-powered super horses, group ate the horse, nailed it. You could have it, except the horse was unusually slow.
And its name was Friday.
Why are you going to just get on the internet and lie to people?
Did you not get the reference?
Why would a Russian horse be named Friday?
Yeah, it's too early in time for it to have been the cowboys from the spaghetti westerns. Did you get the reference?
Except it isn't. It's 1959.
Yeah, the spaghetti westerns didn't happen until the 70s.
I thought that was the 60s.
Late 60s, early 70s, I think.
Huh.
Yeah.
Spaghetti.
Where do we got? Miller177 for $2 says, Aiden, have you done your research for Scientology? No,
Not
he
yet.
has not. Moving on.
I've been banned from doing so, it appears.
It's just, it's the one thing we shouldn't touch.
His mother is concerned about his life.
I'm concerned about my life. The Sky King 5 for Canadian $5 says, just curious about your process, Aiden. Do you do all your research the week before, or for some topics do you do some research over a few weeks?
It's pretty consistently, I do all of it in a week.
Yeah.
Boy in the Box took a little longer.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, yeah. I'll take a few weeks, but for the most part, everything gets done in a week.
Yeah, generally the process is he'll pick a topic, research for that week, we'll film on that following Sunday, and then I'll edit for the week prior to the upload, like the premiere on that Friday. So it's the whole process from start to finish is about 2 weeks.
Yeah. So yes, every time we put out a 90-minute documentary, it was done entirely the week prior.
There was a stretch where we did 4 videos that were roughly 2 hours long each.
In like a month.
Yeah, and I just remember sitting there and being like, we just made 4 feature-length documentaries in a month.
Yep.
Which is hilarious.
The power of the tism.
Oh, yeah. We have so much of it.
Yeah.
It's like a natural
I'm
resource.
hoarding it.
Yeah. John Crump Live for $2 says 35 isn't old.
Hey, Crump.
You know Crump? Do I know Crump?
No, you don't know Crump.
Okay.
Did I say 35 was old?
I don't recall you saying it was old. I think you just
What did I
referred to the mothers that were, or the mothers and wives who were hitting on you at Molly's were roughly 35.
Oh yeah, no. Is that what it was about? Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
I said a third. Yeah, no, I wasn't implying that was old. It was just like
content.
The whole situation.
Yeah. It's not that it's old, it's just that the age gap from 35 to like 24 feels...
And at the time, I was 24.
A bit weird, yeah.
Lies. Plaz says lies. We all know they were riding through the desert on a horse with no name.
It's good to get out of the rain. Because in the desert, you can remember your name. And
cowboy references.
There ain't no one to give you no pain. You see that Jared Padalecki was on what's Steve Harvey's shows? What's Steve Harvey's show? Family Feud.
Okay. He just was?
Yeah.
Like with
recently.
a family?
Yeah.
His family?
I think so.
Was it a celebrity family?
I think so. Because it was him.
Is he a celebrity? Are we celebrities?
No.
Are we niche internet micro celebrities?
That's what we are.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. No one knows who we are. We're not real
What
celebrities.
list are we on? Are we on the first 26 lists?
I don't even know what the first 5 are.
A, B, C, D, E.
Oh. No. We're probably like T tier.
That's solid. I'll take it.
Yeah, I think you're not a real.
See, where am I on famous birthdays right now?
Yeah, right. I think we're not.
Everybody go be silly and get on famous birthdays and boost me right now.
Yes. We're not a real celebrity.
I need to be the most famous Aiden.
We're not a real celebrity until we've done some form of collaboration with an artist that's been interviewed on like a primetime television network.
We're not that far from that.
Fair.
If I make a call, we might be able to record a song with somebody who was on TV.
Really?
Somebody who was on TV helped me write a song recently. It's going on the Pity for the Gourd album.
Interesting. When did we start practicing for that? Oh, yeah.
Good question. I gotta finish writing it.
Fair.
The actual guitar part.
Yeah.
Well, PJ has finished writing the guitar part, I should say.
Yeah.
I wrote the melody and the lyrics. Anyway.
Intelligentant for $5 says, first live, but I've been enjoying for a while. Great work, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was reminded recently that I have not been touching my guitar enough.
Yeah.
I was considering once a week doing a Twitch live for like an hour or so of just like trying to remember to force me to practice.
I can come over and slap the bass.
Yeah,
The
there we
bass is
go.
up there.
That'd be fun.
We have a bass now.
Have you been playing that at all?
A little bit. Not as much as I should.
Fair.
But yeah, I've been vibing with it.
Nice. We love it. We like it. We love it. We love to see it.
Lore Lodge featuring Doja Cat when?
I mean, that'd be pretty fun. I bet that would slap, actually.
What?
A Lore Lodge song featuring Doja Cat?
Oh, yeah. I don't think I've ever played the stuff we have on the YouTube channel, but once it's done, maybe we'll do like a Lore Lodge launch party on YouTube.
That'd be fun. Would Pity for the Gourd be all solo stuff, or would we want to do any covers?
I'd be fine to do covers with it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. All right. Well, that's all the super chats. It's 8:10-ish. I need to eat more Factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a lot of that in my fridge. How long do they last in the fridge? Do you know?
In the fridge, I think 5 to 7 days.
Okay, that's fine.
I would say I would say don't leave it in there for more than 3 just to be safe. But if it's like 5, you're probably fine.
Okay.
Freezer, it'll last, until you take it out and let it last.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out, and we will see you all on the next Sunday. And for those of you who want to watch me on Twitch, please do. We're currently revamping I'll just say it. On Twitch right now, Tuesdays we are playing through Assassin's Creed from the beginning. Wednesday is community game night. So last time we did Cards Against Humanity, we'll do some Holdfast, Jackbox, various things.
Nice.
And Friday is going to be You Sub, I Drink with me getting drunk and playing Modern Warfare. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, come hang out. It's twitch.tv/theAidenMattis. I know you were talking about possibly doing something like Skyrim, but...
Oh, yeah, some people... let me know if you guys actually want me to do
They
Skyrim.
do. They've been asking in my Twitch chat.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right, I'll get it. We'll start doing it.
We'll mod it up for you.
Okay.
We'll get you some good mods.
The first stream will be you setting it up for me. I just got to make sure whatever I do, it doesn't conflict with your streams. It probably have to be later. I don't know. We'll figure it. What's your schedule now is
6 to 9, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay.
Yep. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay. Oh, okay, here we go. see.
John Crump Live for $5
yeah, what'd he say?
says, I interviewed Aiden on primetime TV once a week.
He actually has interviewed me. Are you actually on primetime TV once a week? I did not know that part. Yeah, he did have me on his show. John Crump Live, for the record, he does have a podcast and he streams, so go give him a check out if you like gaming.
Well, I want to meet you too because you seem cool from what I've heard so far.
Yeah, go check him out. I'll see if I can find the link to it and share it in the Discord.
Yeah.
If you're not in the Discord, bit.ly/join the lodge or discord.gg/join the lodge might also work. /Lore Lodge.
Yeah.
Whatever it is on the channel art. Anyway, oh my god, there's more now.
Two more. Nav A42 for $2 says DRG with the more players mod for calm game night.
DRG?
I don't know.
I don't know what DRG is.
Neither do I.
When next Thornbury Thursday?
You know, I gotta say, I've been really craving doing a couple different topics recently, but I don't know what channel we would put them on. I don't know. The biggest thing is that his ability to research is not hindered by the fact that he has a day job anymore, so he can do that. The topics I want to cover are pretty hefty, so it would not be on a weekly schedule, if even a monthly schedule. It might be sporadic, but I don't know. If enough people want to see it, I will take a few hours every week to just kind of do the research for it. But yeah, let me know.
All right. I think that's it.
Cool.
Thank you guys for hanging out. See you on the next one.
Adios.